Could you use a quick tip daily? How about a tip that can impact your day? My name is Rafael. Join me as I bring you tips by experts around the world. These experts have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me and will directly share them with you. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and comment, and I would love for you to become part of the New Tip Daily community. Good morning. Welcome to New Tip Daily. I am bringing a really amazing human being who's going to be sharing some great insights. Let me not wait any longer. Let's bring Heather. Heather, good morning. How are you this morning?
Hey, Sifu. I'm doing well, and I'm excited to be here for
Yeah,
some passion-related tips.
I know. Happy Friday. Happy
Thank you.
Friday.
I'm feeling good about it being Friday.
Well, before we start, I've been talking about eliminating toxins out of your life, but it also
Mm,
helps to declutter your space. Could we have
yes,
toxic people in our lives?
definitely. Yeah. And it doesn't always mean they're like bad humans or have bad intentions, but they could be dysfunctional enough that it's feeling really toxic. That's true.
Right, right, right.
Hmm.
So, but we're going to talk about bringing the passion back. Maybe you're talking about somebody because you see it so often. People are like in love, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
I know.
shuts down.
I know. Or sometimes gradually, it could be a slow death of passion over many years. And I actually think people, it's kind of like the how do you boil a frog? It's like 1 degree at a time. Sometimes it is that. Sometimes
Mm,
it's like, well, and I don't know if this might be an unpopular thing. The sudden part might be having children for a lot of people because that's such a life changing event. And your priorities have to shift and your stress level may increase. Even if you're so in love with your child and it's just a wonderful experience, there could be postpartum depression that lowers libido. And so, and then there could be stress on the marriage. Like the Gottman Institute does relationship research, and they show that 70% of marriages decline in the first year after having a baby. So it's that's probably like the biggest like event thing, but there can be other big events like someone gets cancer in the relationship, or somebody cheats, so there could be those, but a lot of times it's also, life happened and we're just, we got distracted and we're focusing on co-parenting, and we maybe one or both work a lot, and we are um, you know not maybe taking care of ourselves as well, or not going on date nights, and it's just so vastly different from that like excitement and that new relationship energy that you're describing.
I I'm wondering. I believe that people cheat in two occasions
Mm-hmm.
because that's just the kind of person they are. That's what I believe, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one is because maybe they still have passion, but the other person kind of lost it, right? And
Hmm.
it could be because of pregnancy. It could be because of
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel comfortable in their own skin.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be, they're not comfortable anymore. And the other person still wants passion, but they're not getting
Yeah.
it in the relationship. And I think that maybe that's one of the reasons. So let's talk about because it is spring, right?
I guess
Spring
it is like
is
kind of officially, right?
yeah.
Okay, I like
It's not
that.
just for your home, right? It's for you, right?
Yeah, and I think that the spring cleaning of your home and like organize is one of the best ways to feel better mentally as fast as possible. That's just like a general mental health tip.
Right.
Yeah. For your relationship, yeah,
You
maybe
got to
spring.
spring clean that too.
Yeah, maybe it's like dusting off the cobwebs of your sex life. Like, hey, let's put some energy and attention into this.
Mhm.
You know.
When you and I talked earlier about maybe you have a new baby. The
Hmm.
baby's keeping you up at night. You're both frustrated,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of people they have to me, because I have two kids,
Mm,
it's you have to change their rhythm to follow
mm,
your rhythm, because
mm-hmm,
that's what I did when my kids were born.
mm-hmm.
I became Mr. Mom.
Oh, I love that.
I wanted my kids so bad, more than she did, to be honest with
Mm,
you. And so when the kids were wake, here's the crazy thing I did. I'm not a saint, or I'm not anything crazy.
mm-hmm.
I wanted them more than anything. When they were born and when we actually took them from the bassinet to the crib, I slept on the floor next to their crib for 2
Oh,
months.
man, that's so cute. Your audio is sounding a little bit off to me, by the way.
How about now?
Oh, that's better. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
I gotta bring it in close. So
Yeah.
if you heard that, I was sleeping by their crib for the first 3 months of their birth because I just wanted to be there. And I said to her, "You don't. You go to sleep. I'm good."
Oh.
But I did that for both of my kids, and the reason I did that is because you have the SIDS and you have all these different things, but it's also because I wanted them more than she did.
That's
So
interesting. Yeah.
for me, it was like, I will do whatever. And because I was attentive to them, I changed their cycle. They started sleeping
Mm,
through the night,
nice.
and so did I.
Well, yeah, that's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good point though. It's like whatever it is that's getting in the way. I think people just need to stop and pause if it's like, oh, I guess we're not that passionate anymore. And a lot of times
Mhm.
people still like their partner and get along with their partner. They might even still have, like fun together and go out, and they might still even have affection together. But
Right.
sometimes it's like the sexy spark that's missing, and it could be a lot of different reasons. But um, another common reason I see is people just get awkward about initiating.
Mm.
They're kind of like, I don't know, like, do you want to? Oh, but what if I get rejected? And then like,
Hang on, it's in
oh,
my calendar.
yeah, it could be scheduled, and people have mixed feelings about scheduling. Usually, I think what I and a lot of sex therapists would recommend is don't schedule sex, but maybe you schedule time, like quality time, and maybe you schedule time to have some sort of physical intimacy, even if it's just fully clothed cuddling, or holding
Mm.
hands, or you know throwing your leg across the other person's leg and just like laying down for a little bit. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think that's actually another area where people get tripped up is the all or nothing thinking, where it's like, ooh, we like it's kind of gotten to be a while. Now it's sort of the elephant in the room and we feel so awkward. I would say step one, just embrace the awkward. Awkward is not
Mhm.
bad. Awkward means you're being vulnerable, and you kind of need to be vulnerable to have intimacy. So it's actually kind of a sign that you're on the right track a little bit. So I would say lean into that. And also the awkwardness will go away after a while, but you kind of got to go through it to get past it. And then have a conversation too. Like ask
Yeah.
your partner, how would you like me to initiate things? Like, what would be a sign to you that I'm interested? Some people like to be very verbal about it. Like, hey, do you want to have sex? Other people, it's like, no, that would like take me out of the mood. And so it would be more like, just come up and start like rubbing my shoulders
Right.
or give me a kiss on the neck. Or put your hand on my leg, and people then kind of have those signals of like, oh, that's my sign that they're kind of interested. Or a couple told me back in the day, it used to be like when one of them would go take a nap in the middle of the day and be like, oh, I think I'm just going to go rest in the bedroom. And that was sort of like the secret hint to like, oh, well, come join me. So yeah, I think having your kind of shared language around that could be helpful.
That's a good thing, telling some, like, a keyword, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I don't have a headache, by the way."
I'm feeling very well rested, but I'm going to go lay down. Yeah.
Um, we are talking, I think one of the things that may also help, and you can talk more about this, is, not only your health, but, your mindset as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think and that's a big part of libido because it could be a mindset struggle around body image, let's say. That could be a big one. So it could be like, I just like don't feel sexy or like I don't look my best. And what I've discovered over, 14 years now in private practice, is that it actually does not matter at all what the person's body looks like. They could have a body that people would, pay money for, or they could have a body that maybe is not as conventionally attractive. It really doesn't matter. It is the mindset. Body image is completely mindset related. So if you're telling yourself, you're not enough and you're not what sexy looks like, unfortunately, you're probably going to believe yourself, and that's going to put a damper on your intimacy with your partner. However, if you're kind of like, oh, my partner thinks I'm attractive still, can I see myself through their eyes? Or, my body is capable of so many amazing things, or here's one or two things that I do like about my appearance. When we put the focus on that, and then we feel like we are enough, we are attractive enough, it also then kind of frees us up to like take more initiative and go ahead and like lean into our sexuality and get our flirt on, with our partner, and maybe be a little suggestive or have some little innuendos, and kind of embrace that playful energy. So I think that can be a really great way to shift mindset.
I love that. Yeah. And we talked earlier on one of my other podcasts. You were on Coaching Call with me, and we talked about people who want to be in the dark. They want to shut the lights. But I also have another idea on that. What if we shut the lights off for the person that wants the lights off?
Oh, yeah.
Like blindfold. Hello.
Oh, yeah. That's an interesting idea. I love that, because then you're kind of leaning into some sensory play, and there's so much of that. Even if people are not ready to jump right to intercourse, it could be like, let's just have some sensory play. Maybe it's just blindfold and different sensations and textures and not knowing what is coming. And then you have to be really present in your body. So I think that's one of the reasons why using a blindfold could be really effective, because when we change things up physically, it's like kind of like you have to be present. So I think one of the keys is actually just being present, getting a little bit out of your head.
Here's a question that kind of came up as we've been talking. And I don't know how to ask it, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Just go for it.
Because I think they've done it in movies and so forth. They blindfolded a person. And then they thought they were going to be with this person, but somebody else stepped in.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that's not what I'm getting at. But what happens is during intercourse, right? Our sex organs don't have ears, smell. They can't smell something. They can't see something.
Right.
All they have is feeling.
Right.
So when you talked earlier about different body types, somebody who's like, oh my God, wow, like everybody in the room is like, oh my goodness, I want to be with this person. Right. Or somebody else who goes, oh, I could never see myself with the person. But if you took those two people and you blindfolded everybody else and they got to connect with them more on a deeper level, they would not know the difference based on intercourse. Yes or no?
I mean,
there's
a lot of technicalities there.
Yes, you're going to touch, you're going to feel like different things, right? But if your hands are not part of it, let's say.
Right. If it's just the act of penetration, if that's what you're saying, like separating out, then yes. Right. And I think it's a good point, because really, if we're just like using somebody for their body, that's really not what sex is about. I mean, it can be, but it's kind of like you might as well just have sex by yourself then. Use your hand, use a toy if that's really all you're after. So I think there really is something about the connection. Sometimes the validation people get, which we have to be a little bit careful of, like how much are we looking to sex for feeling better and managing stress and validation. That could be like a nice bonus. But I think it's helpful to not have that be the primary reason, or we're kind of setting ourselves up for some compulsion if we do that. But I think that you bring up some good points about like just connecting with the person emotionally and energetically, because it's nice if you're sort of connecting with someone's spirit, connecting with someone's essence of who they are, and creating a sense of safety because of that, you know, where it's like, hey, like I see you on that level, and this is a safe space for us to kind of explore and play. That's a huge element of passion, is creating that safe space.
I'm one of those guys that when I was younger, I was like, "Ooh, I just want to be with that person and never see them again." And now I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, I cannot." I need to get to know them, right? For
Yeah.
me, it's that intimacy, that level of do I even want to touch? Because
Yeah.
for me, I'm so sensory based, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, the feel, the touch is so incredible. But men in general, from what I've gathered from all my friends,
Mm-hmm.
they just want to do bang, thank you, ma'am, right? And that is not me. I'm more
Right.
like, let's talk, let's have a conversation, you know.
Yeah.
But so how do we help somebody? How do you help somebody who is in the belief of like, let's get it done. Okay, thank you. And
Right.
you know, the old day was have a cigarette or walk away or whatever. How do we get them to engage more so that it becomes a fruitful
Right.
sexual experience?
I mean, there's the idea that you can't make anyone else do anything, right?
Of
And
course.
so if they're feeling like it's not broken, and it's working for them, and that's kind of what I go by. I be like, is this working for you? And if they say yes, like, okay, great, continue. But I think you could at least present the idea that like it could be more connective. But then the person needs to be brave. So I think sometimes what's happening is people are like, well, I don't want to expose my soul. I don't want to be like exposed with my little vulnerable emotions. That's not what I'm signing up for. Just give me the orgasm and I'm out of here, you know? So it depends kind of like what people are ready for, what they're interested in. And it could start small. It could just start with more eye contact. If someone's kind of doing the wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, it could be like, okay, let's be present. You know, maybe let's do a tantric breathing exercise before kind of starting physical intimacy to get into the mode of eye contact and really seeing this person who you're connecting with. But yeah, especially if it's casual sex, that can also be different. So it's like if you're in a long-term relationship with someone you love versus if you're having casual sex. I do still think casual sex can be very connective depending on the maturity of the individuals and how much discussion happens. And again, creating a safe space. I think you have to be a little bit more intentional about those conversations when it's someone you don't know as well. But yeah, I would say eye contact, communication, and presence. You know, and if someone brings those qualities, it's probably not going to be the wham bam thank you ma'am sex anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like in the old movies where she's doing her fingernails, you know, that kind of deal.
Like,
that doesn't work too well.
Like during sex?
Yes.
Oh dear.
They've shown it in movies. You know, they try to make funny, like, okay, are you done yet?
That's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign at all. Bringing that that passion back into a relationship, and you talked about earlier, just holding hands, sitting on the couch, throwing your leg over them, for example. And I was kidding before about scheduling things, right? I have my scheduler, but on my scheduler I have are you ready for what I call it?
Yeah.
Every day I call it focus time.
Okay.
And what that means, that doesn't mean sex. That means that all my focus is going to be on my fiance.
Oh, I love that.
And
I'm sure she loves that.
She doesn't know she doesn't even know I have it in my calendar.
Well, hopefully she's not watching.
She'll find out.
She'll find out.
But here's the whole thing. For me, focus time is when we're going to get together. We're going to have lunch, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have lunch. We eat lunch, and then we kind of look at each other, and then we go, coffee time, so we have coffee.
Okay.
and we sit on the couch after, and we're either going to watch a show or something like that. We're going to talk, but we are holding hands. We're putting our hand on our shoulder. There's
Yeah.
her leg over mine. I throw her. And so
Yeah.
that's what I call my focus time, that I do not schedule any meetings ever,
Mhm.
right? I don't take any phone calls during that time either,
Mhm.
unless there's a specific number that they will ring into now, and we both
Yeah.
go, okay, we got to take that call.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it's every day, Monday through Friday.
Amazing.
And then, like, for example, today she even said to me, "What time are you done today?"
Okay.
I said, "I'm done at 3:30." She goes, "Oh, I'm going to come by you
Okay.
and visit," right? Because I'm at one of my facilities. She's going to come over. She
Mhm.
goes, "I'll come over. I'll go into another office and I'll do some work." I said, "Perfect."
Nice.
And then we'll probably go out to dinner, and that's our focus time. So
I
we
mean,
always know, and she always knows that, yeah, I'm coming home for lunch, right?
right.
And she makes sure that she's available and whatnot. So
That's
I think
huge.
that's how, because we didn't have that before,
Mm.
right? I used to just go to work and not be back till nighttime or really late.
Yep.
And when I started changing it, it just seems like it's a better connection.
It's interesting because you don't know. So my method that I use is called the pathway to passion, and I don't think you know like all the steps, but you just described step one on my pathway to
No, look
passion,
at
where it's called like aligned priorities, and it's kind of
that.
like is your behavior reflecting that your relationship is a priority? If someone were to look at your lifestyle and how you spend your time, how you spend your money, where your focus goes. So it's interesting that you call it focus time too. Would that show that your relationship is a priority? And so for a lot of people, it's step one for a reason. A lot of times
Mm,
it's kind of like, if that's not there, we're not gonna be able to do the rest of the steps, you
right.
know? So that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. So you have this whole framework that you help people with. What's another great tip for people to start bringing the fashion back? How about a
Mhm.
fashion show?
You do like a sexy fashion show for each other, a little try
Yeah.
on. That'd be fun. I mean, the thing I was going to say is also like educating yourself,
Ooh, yeah.
I think this is my like fifth step on the pathway, is like knowledge about how desire works, because I think so none of us were taught this. Like zero. There's no sex education that's like, this is how your libido works and here's the
Right.
various
Yeah.
factors, and but kind of understanding yourselves. And then some of my later steps are like creating the roadmap, so then it could be what gets you in the mood mentally, and that could be a fashion show. It could be like, we're not even
Mm,
touching each other, but being able to have like the visual cues, or feeling like my partner is making a special effort for me, could start getting the wheels turning, and like, okay,
mm,
yeah. But so many of us wind up in that, like, there's no sexual stimuli anywhere in the environment. It's like, we go to work, we do our workouts, we clean the house, we pick up the kids, we do, and it's like nowhere in there is anything sexy. So just starting to like listen to a podcast like this, or my podcast, Ask a Sex Therapist, or a TV show that's a little steamy, or taking a dance lesson together where there's some touch involved and some sensuality. It's like, okay, now there's starting to be like natural cues in your day to day. And I
mm,
see that work for a lot of people. Like, sometimes without me assigning any specific homework, clients just coming and starting to talk to me, and it's more top of mind, then their wheels get spinning more. And so just don't have an environment that's like sterile and free from like flirting or sexiness, like think about like, how can I start at least bringing that idea back in?
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Before we talk about, we talked about pregnancy, different things.
Hmm.
Let's touch upon ED, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that is one of the more common things that I help people with. And what I see with both ED and people with a penis, and then also people with a vulva who don't orgasm very easily, it's kind of the same thing. It's just that like we're in our heads and we're not in our bodies. So what I recommend in those cases is kind of a mindfulness meditation practice related to sexuality and being in your body. And it's kind of what we talked about earlier. So with like the blindfold or the different types of touch, and just, you know, what's interesting with touch too is you can notice being the toucher. So it could be like, what kind of touch feels good for me to give? You know, like, where do I like, just like, oh, I like the sensation of my partner's hair, or touching their face, or a certain area of their body, right? And then you can also notice, like, how does it feel receiving the touch? And when my partner is touching me, what does it feel on that end? And so just being present with touch or smell or sounds, any of the senses, gets us more present and more in our body and out of our head. But it needs to be a practice. So it's just like a normal meditation, where it's like your mind will then wander back to, oh, wait, what do I have to do after this? Or like, I shouldn't be taking the time for sex right now. I have like a million things to do. And then to be like, okay, wait, thank you, brain. Let's bring it back to the senses. And your brain might go do that 100 times where it distracts you. And that's okay. And you're just going to bring it back and bring it back and bring it back. And it's like doing reps where you're like training yourself to stay present and in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I think with so many studies have been done on that erectile dysfunction, that it's blood flow is also one of them, right? So
true, yes, that's the physical side of it. So I kind of describe the mental, but it is often both. A lot of times people have a mental and a physical component. Yeah.
But there's also medication that some men go on that creates ED. And what winds up happening is, because it constricts blood flow, it changes the dynamic. It makes them upset, this, that, the other. And obviously they have to work with their doctors on this. But I think that definitely it doesn't matter your age, movement is important.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
And I see, I mean, the other thing about ED, since we're getting into the physical health side of it, it can be a predictor of cardiovascular health problems. So go get tested medically. Like, that's not one you want to sleep on or be like, oh, I'm so ashamed of this, I'm going to ignore it. No. Go find out. And I also see it a lot with diabetics. Even if someone's just even like on blood pressure medication, it's not severe cardiovascular issues, all of that can have an impact. Like, I've seen clients change their diet. I had someone go on keto, and within 2 weeks, he was like, I'm having nighttime erections again. I haven't had that in months or years. So it's like reducing inflammation in our body, increasing blood flow, taking your medications properly and consistently. All of that can make a big difference on the physical side, for sure.
How important is it for support when somebody is going through ED or low libido for a woman, to say, hey, you know what? I understand that you may be going through this, and I'm here for you. But why don't we still be intimate?
Totally.
That doesn't mean we have to stop, right?
Please. Yes. Yes. You could probably see it. It's like, yes, I'm like, can we please just stop making sex all or nothing? You know, we're in this, the all is penetration. It's like, says who? You know, it's like, most people are not trying to like make a baby most of the time, you know? So it's like, let's just let go of that. Again, like I said earlier, the point's connecting, right? You don't need certain genitalia or certain functioning to connect physically. So find other ways that feel pleasurable to connect. And, you know, I have a couple I'm working with on this issue now, and it's like as they're approaching it this way, it's like their makeouts are like so much better. They're like, oh my God, we're just like really like so present. We're like so into each other, and it's getting so passionate, and they've been together for years, you know? And so it's really cool to see that when we kind of take something off the table, or we take the pressure off of it, at least, you can really have enhanced connection just, again, by being present.
They're like teenagers again.
I know, it's so cool. I'm just like, oh, I love this. And they're very like open-minded people. It's kind of been easy for them to embrace the mindfulness. And then I kind of said, like, notice, because we have a lot of shoulds when it comes to sex, like, notice when you're feeling pulled to kind of escalate or increase what you're doing sexually, and notice where you feel like you're pushing yourself. Where is it like a should? It's like, well, we should. This is what you're supposed to. No. We're getting rid of all that. No more
Makes a lot
shitting.
of sense.
Yeah.
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 How important is it? And I know we're wrapping things up, but
Mhm.
if you don't mind, how important is it to tell someone what you prefer?
Yeah, important, because for a couple of reasons. One,
Well,
it's
then they're not
authentic.
mind readers, right?
Correct. Step one, they're not mind reading. They might be. Even if you have a psychic partner who's like literally like up in there in your head, does not matter. Still communicate. Um, because not every thought you have is what the one you want to lean into either.
Mhm.
So it is important to verbalize it. And I think the other piece is like if you're going along with it, if you're kind of like, oh, it's okay, you're like, oh, that's kind of uncomfortable, but I don't want to make them feel
Mm.
bad. You're actually reducing the intimacy.
Mm.
It's like intimacy is authenticity and vulnerability and showing up as your full self, not hiding parts of yourself. That's the opposite of intimacy. So, and the more we have that foundation of emotional intimacy, and again, creating the safe space, usually the better the physical intimacy gets too. So that's my 2 cents on that. And then also once you communicate it and you're increasing the emotional intimacy, you're also going to get more of what you want, which is more pleasure and more connection. So, so it's like, it's just a win-win. Should you say it sensitively? Absolutely. We want to make sure that we're kind of focusing on the positive and what we do want instead of what the person's like, quote unquote, doing wrong. So, yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Such great tips today. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, it was fun.
If you ever want to like a regular guy on your show, let me know. I know a guy.
Okay.
Heather, what I'd love to do is give you a chance to just 30, 45 seconds, tell somebody what they can expect when they connect with you. Your website
Yeah.
is going to go across the bottom.
Perfect.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I work primarily with people in committed relationships. And in my Pathway to Passion coaching program, I am taking couples through the 9 steps on the Pathway to Passion, getting rid of the obstacles, creating the conditions for sex and intimacy to thrive. And it's pretty much the people I see tend to fall into one of a couple buckets. They're either engaged or wanting to get engaged and kind of address this before they commit to marriage, or they're married and they're kind of like, something's got to give here. Like we like each other, but this is missing. We're stuck in the awkward phase. It feels like a chore. It feels like an elephant in the room. And that's where I kind of help them get unstuck, figure out what the blockage is and move forward and actually feel close and passionate again. So if people are curious about that, they can find me on my website, which you're putting across the screen there, heathershannon.co. And they can request a free intimacy breakthrough call and we'll see if I can help.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Miss Shannon.
Yes.
I am so thrilled that you are on my show and that you've been on my other shows. I told you earlier, you got to keep coming because the energy that you bring, right? The vibrancy, your knowledge is incredible. So
Thank
thank
you.
you
Thank you. That's
for
very
being
kind.
here.
Thank you for
Happy
having me.
Friday. Happy
Yeah.
Friday. Happy Friday. Do me a favor, everybody listening to this show. Stop being so selfish and share it. All the great advice today. Somebody needs to hear this. So
True.
go out there, share the show, because you never know where somebody can say, great tips. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Having a beautiful day. Enjoy. Take care.